Right, so this is called the Zero DC short harness. It's quite a nice entry level harness for people starting out in Canicross. It simply goes over the head, good girl, and then between the front legs, good girl, and fastens on each side under the belly. Good girl, stand. So you're making sure that it fits nicely down to that chest bone and then to the top of the shoulders between the shoulder blades. And then it comes down towards the end of the ribs, which are here. You would then clip on to the line, which is a bungee line. This has got quite a lot of stretch in it to absorb any shock of when the dog starts pulling, if it sees a rabbit or something. It just means it's more sympathetic to the runner and to the dog, and that connects up obviously to the belt, which also has additional bungee here and here. There's also an emergency quick release. You can just pull that if you're heading for a pond or a 5-bar gate and the dog's likely to go underneath it, or a tree with a squirrel. Some of the lines also have handles, or else you can, if the dog is moving in the wrong direction or too fast, you can just take a pull there.
Yeah.
The main thing to check is that the front of the harness sits on the breastbone there and then comes back to the top of the shoulders, so that the dog is pulling into the harness using her chest and her shoulders, and she's completely free around the neck so she can breathe easily. And then you want the harness to come down roughly to the back of the ribs. So the back of the ribs is about there, and that's where you'll be attaching on.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Good girl, lovely. There's a good girl.
Good.
So this is a classic waist belt, where you just step in.
Ready?
I'll let you in. And it attaches around the waist.
And then you can just adjust it here.
And then if you turn round, it gives you a nice pull across the back there. This is the alternative type of belt, which is called a nappy belt.
Okay.
And it just sits a bit lower.
And why would you choose this over this?
With a stronger pulling dog,
Okay.
you might use this belt because it pulls more into the glutes and will protect
so
the
it gives
back.
you a bit more support.
Yes.
Okay.
But for entry level, a lot of people start with a waist belt.
Okay.
And then if they're racing, or as I said, have a stronger pulling dog, they'll then go to a more supported belt like this.
Okay. And then how would you say, when you're first getting involved, the best way to get involved is join a club, or?
Yes, there's a lot of local clubs sprung up now from all over the country.
Okay.
If there isn't a club, there's a Facebook page called Canicross Trail Runners. If you go on there and say, I don't know, I live in Cumbria, are there any Canicrossers near me?
You can get them.
Normally you'll find someone say, oh yes, I've been looking for a local club. Or else the bigger clubs like Canicross Midlands, members then started splitting off when they were having to travel long distances to club runs, and they realised that they had other Canicrossers that lived nearer them, and then they'd splinter off into smaller, more local running groups.
Okay, and once you've got this on and you've got the harness on a dog, is it simply just clip it together and get going, or do you need, how would you get started? Would you go slowly to start with, do a short run?
Yes, you go slowly, you get the dog used to it. When you clip on the dog, you would give a command to say on harness, to indicate to the dog that now they're attached to you, now they're going to be working in partnership with you, and that it's now a two-way thing, and they're not just bolting off doing their own thing. So it's a signal to them to now start listening to you and working with you.
Okay. And would you say take some treats and obviously water, make sure they're properly watered, have enough water and stuff?
Yeah, you wouldn't feed the dog within a good hour and a half of doing the Canicross in case of bloat on either side. But you'd give them lots of encouragement, lots of treats. You'd just do small stints. So what we tend to do is we'll go out in the forest, we'll have the dogs off to start, for those that can be off. So that they can all run around, do whatever they need to do, have a bit of chance to relax, get used to their surroundings. And we'll then do short spurts for about 10 minutes with the dog on harness, We'll use hike to get the dog to
So it's
move
hike
forward
to get the dog
and to
forward.
run on.
Okay.
And if you're in a group of other dogs running forward, it encourages your dog to pull and to run forward
Oh,
freely.
so that's probably a benefit of joining a club like Joggy Doggy, and you'd say because then the dogs can see you running with your dogs up front and learn how to do
it
it.
encourages them to
Okay.
run forward.
Okay.
If you have a dog that goes from side to side a bit, which they can do when they want to go faster and you're not able to keep up, you can sometimes do more narrow cycle trails and things just to keep the dog straight and to teach them to run straight for you.
Okay.
And you just do short bursts, practicing your right and your left. We do all this in the classes and the sessions. We practice right and left. We practice changing pace, so just saying steady and walk when you want to slow down, and then picking up the speed again. And again, it all gets the dog engaged and listening to you and waiting for the next signal.
Okay.
And it keeps them interested.
Great. And you mentioned not to feed the dog about an hour and a half before because of case of bloating. Would you say there's any other sort of common mistakes people may make?
I think sometimes people will race back to the cars, maybe on a club run. They'll say, "Oh, race you back to the cars," and then they'll run back to the cars, take off the harness, chuck the dog in, and they'll go for a coffee. What you really want to do is in the last half mile, you just walk the dog down like you would with a horse, so that their heart rate can go down, so that they can settle. They can have a small drink when they get back to the car, but not gallons.
Yeah.
And then when you put them in the car, they're nice and calm. They're not being thrown into the car with their heart rate really high, all hyped up.
Yeah.
And it's just a calmer, more sensible way, and it lets their muscles relax as you would
Like
with
a stretch,
human.
like a stretch, okay.
You wouldn't sprint home
No.
and then just sit on the sofa for 3 hours.
No, you wouldn't. And what would you say? What are the benefits of people exercising with their dogs? Why would you say it's such a brilliant thing?
I mean, there's huge motivation of exercising with your dog. They're always so keen to go out. When you get the harness out, they're barking at the door. They're excited, and it gives you, or certainly a lot of my owners, it gives them a lot of pleasure seeing how much pleasure the dog gets out of it.
They get to socialise with other
exercising.
dogs, and you get to keep fit. It's also keeping yourselves fit and keeping the dogs really, rather than just a walk for sort of 20 minutes.
And it's very time efficient because you exercise and the dog exercises.